and Tortora inside of our fantasy football in focus here. NFL Week 6 of the 2023-24 season. On bye week are the Packers and the Steelers, so make sure if you have them on your roster, get them on your bench for this week. You don't want to have an open slot where you're going to be guaranteed 0 points. So make sure that you make those adjustments where you need to make them. If you have the Kenny Pickett's or the A.J. Dillons or the Aaron Jones of the world and so on and so forth, make sure you make the moves that you need to make to get your team set for this week. This is Fantasy Football in Focus. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, bringing you fantasy football coverage every single week of the season, every single team that's playing, and answering your questions. So if you have a question about your specific team, shoot it over to us. Send it to us because I would love to help you get your team set for this week, NFL Week 6 of the 2023-24 season. All of our content with fantasy football is proudly presented by the wonderful Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. You can find the Wildcat right there in the Home Depot Plaza. You can also go there for takeout and delivery. All you have to do is make sure that you get in touch with them by calling them at 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat Sports Pub. So make sure you get in touch with them that way. However you're connecting with the Wildcat, make sure that you send them some love, send them some positivity, let them know that Wake Up Call sent you their way, and we appreciate everybody that heads out to the Wildcat Sports Pub. So many thanks to all of you for doing that, and we appreciate you so very much. So thank you for all of that. Like I said, if you have a question, send it off to us. More than happy to answer your questions here for your fantasy football week 6 of the NFL here in the 2023-24 season. So if you have a question, send it to us so that we can go ahead and get those answers out to you in real time. And I want to thank everybody for joining the show every single Wednesday, typically from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we're here with you a little bit later today at 11 o'clock. So we appreciate you being here, hanging out where sports meets life. We're going to jump right into it and go into this first matchup that we have here. And that first matchup being the Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're ever wondering where we are in the schedule, you'll be able to look right to my right here on the screen, and you'll see if we're talking about Denver at Kansas City, that means we're just starting, and we'll go all the way through from Baltimore at Tennessee, then Washington at Atlanta, all the way down to Monday Night Football. So if you're ever wondering where we are in the show, you can just follow along from whatever game we're talking about. We're going to go in order of top to bottom. So if you're looking for information and maybe you're watching this on playback and you got to get to something really quick, I'm saying that all to help you out to get to where you need to go quicker and make sure that you get that advice that you need before you have to set your lineup. So appreciate you all for being here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Let's get into it. Denver at Kansas City. Well, the Denver Broncos could be the worst team in the NFL, but, you know, they got the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears going, wait a minute, I feel like that's us. So that's where some of these teams are right now in the grand scheme of things. The three worst teams, I think, in the NFL right now are those teams that I'm mentioning here. And so Denver, don't have much to tell you to write home about. Javonte Williams, I have him as a running back 2 or 3. Out there for you, Judy and Sutton, I have him as wide receiver 3s. Russell Wilson, I don't have as a quarterback to put out there. I don't trust in the bus right now. On the other side of it, Pat Mahomes worth the play. Isaiah Pacheco as a running back 2 or 3. And then Travis Kelce, if he's able to go, he was limited in practice with an ankle injury. If he's able to play in this game, because this is not a game that I think they're going to have too much of. On paper, this doesn't look like it's going to be a crazy test. So I wanted to say that on paper because knowing that, you know, once you say it, it's like, okay, now the team's going to, you know, Denver's going to play a great game. It's going to be 17-13 in the third quarter, blah, 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 blah. But this might be a game where they don't need Travis Kelce the whole time. So just monitor that and be cognizant of that. But Travis Kelce, obviously your best receiver out there. Rashee Rice, Justin Watson have definitely been targets that it seems like Patty Mahomes is liking to go to. Justin Watson getting drafted in 2018 in the 5th round by the Bucs, and Rashee Rice getting drafted recently in the 2nd round, 55th overall by the Chiefs out of SMU, a team that I've covered for a decade now. These are two young guys that you could flex out. Hopefully you're not relying on them, but, maybe with the Steelers and the Packers being off, you need to fill in a slot there, and that's not a bad bet to go after one of these guys, especially with the matchup that they have against the Denver Broncos this week, and putting one of them out there, Justin Watson or Rashee Rice, as a flex wide receiver is not a bad bet for you. So I would look at doing something like that. Going from there into our next game, Baltimore at Tennessee to start off Sunday at 1 o'clock. We'll go to Baltimore first. We always do the road team first. So Baltimore at Tennessee. The Tennessee Titans have been up and down and around the corner, and the Baltimore Ravens got to learn how to catch passes. People say, Lamar Jackson's not a good quarterback. If your receivers aren't catching passes, there's really nothing that you could do, right? I mean, if the ball is right there and they're not reeling it in, that's an on-them thing. That's not a you thing. Is that, when you make mistakes in the entertainment world, it's visible, right? Everybody can see it. And so that's the tough part of all of this, is that, it's something that is definitely right in front of everybody's face. So that's something that you definitely want to, understand here with these guys. Nobody's trying to lose these games. Nobody's trying to drop passes. And as much as people joke around, remember that these are human beings and that everyone makes a mistake. Would you want somebody to follow you around in your life and point out every mistake you make? I can answer that quickly for you. That answer would be no. So definitely be kind, be compassionate out there, folks. Not everybody's going to have a perfect game every single day. I know that they got to get their hands around these passes here, but it doesn't always happen. I will say, though, that for those of you thinking Lamar Jackson, he doesn't put the ball where it's supposed to be. He doesn't put it on the money. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do. Well, in this game this past week, he absolutely put the ball exactly where it was supposed to be. In a lot of cases, they just didn't reel it in. So I would say, Lamar Jackson, because of the weapon that he is, he's worth the play in this one. And they're playing Tennessee, and Tennessee's been such an enigma. They've been up and down. They haven't been consistent in any way, shape, or form this season so far. So I'm not sold on who they are or what they think they are. Tennessee's been very strange to me this season. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you yes on Lamar Jackson. And then Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, it's tough here to say, who's going to be the guy. I would flex out one of these guys in a deeper league, and if you got to play someone with the Steelers and the Packers being off, I'd put him as a flex. Zay Flowers, I have him as the true flex. He had 11 targets, career best in his rookie season so far. Got to reel some of these in, too, himself, but I do like Zay Flowers as I would put him as a wide receiver, too, definitely as a flex guy. He is a true flex by definition because he can catch it and run it. Mark Andrews is worth the start as well. On the other side, for the Titans, Derrick Henry, I have him as a running back, too. Tajay Spears, I have him as he got his first career touchdown, covered him at Tulane in the Cotton Bowl, where I believe he had 4 touchdowns. If not, it was 3, but I think he had 4 touchdowns in that game. Tajay Spears, rookie this season, found the end zone for the first time. He's a good flex out, but he's playing Baltimore's defense, so I have him as a running back 4 this week. And I'm not sold on the receivers, even DeAndre Hopkins with Tennessee. So if you want to put D-Hop out there, I got him as a wide receiver 3 in this one. Josh has a question here for us coming in. Would you trade Tutu Atwell, Treylon Burks, and Gerald Everett for Josh Downs, Derek Carr, Jonnu Smith, 20-man PPR, Tutu currently in flex, others on the bench? He says, I need a backup quarterback. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that trade, Josh. I think I'm okay with the trade because Everett's not like a guy who I consistently am like, that's my guy. And then Tutu, I mean, you look at what's because Tutu's on a team right now where they just got rid of Van Jefferson, so he might get some more opportunities out there. And Treylon Burks is on a Tennessee team that's up and down around the corner. I mean, if you make this trade right now, it looks good now. But down the road, could you maybe be wanting this trade back and wanting Tutu Atwell back? I think you may. So, Josh, let me know who else is out there for you. So let me know what other QBs are available, because maybe you don't have to make this trade. And make sure, Josh, to let us know where you hail from. So, where you're watching from, so we can shout it out. And make sure to subscribe while you're here as well. So we appreciate everybody being on here with us. If you got a question, send it over to me. Next thing that we got up here, let's take a look at it. So next matchup that we're going to put out here. So Josh said on waivers, there's nobody. From the great state of Minnesota. Shout out to you, Josh, from Minnesota. Make sure to click subscribe, and appreciate you watching and listening from Minnesota. There's nobody on waivers. What about free agency, Josh? What quarterbacks are out there for free agency for you? Let me know what you got, so we can try and see if we can maybe make this thing work for you. I mean, I think, like I said, I think now the trade might make some sense. But if Tutu Atwell gets more opportunities out there, then you could be kicking yourself down the road. And that's not – the Tutu part of it is the one thing that I'm looking at. It's not like this is a stellar, oh my gosh, you're giving up somebody who's so high right now, but they could get higher. And that's the thing is, if you're selling someone who has some good upside and what you're bringing in doesn't have as good upside, then that might cause me to take a little stop here and a little pause and advise that you don't. So let me know who's out there and if we can maybe make something else work here in the grand scheme for you, that you don't have to give somebody up that may have some upside down the road that might bite you. I don't want something to bite you in the butt there. So let's see if we can find something for you here and figure this thing out. But yeah, if you have a question, send it in, folks. Let us know what your questions are. Always happy to help you and do everything that we can to answer your fantasy football questions every single week. We are going on the air for you Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time for Fantasy Football in Focus. This week we're a little bit later here. No quarterback available anywhere. Okay, all right. So you said you need a backup quarterback, and, I mean, obviously you're going to need them for, 1 week? So, I mean, I'd like to see some other trades that don't involve Tutu. But, because the thing about Jonnu Smith, too, is that, yeah, it might look good now, but you wonder about that Kyle Pitts situation. So, Josh, it's hard. I would say hold for a minute. I would say hold. So I would say hold on it because of Tutu. And Jonnu might not be the forever answer, too. So I would say to maybe just hold on that for now. Yeah, don't give up Tutu Atwell, and then let's have the conversation. So I like that. You just wrote that in. I like that. So, yeah, let me know what that looks like, and we'll go from there and take a look at that one. Washington at Atlanta, and like I said, folks, as we go throughout this, if you have a question about your team, you could send it over to us. We don't have to be talking about the game for you to be asking the question about your team. And give Shaheed or something. So I guess you're talking to me about Rashid Shaheed, from the wide receiver from the Saints. Yeah, I mean that would be a better one for me, Josh. That's not a bad one. It's better. It's definitely better. Let's get into this game here. Washington at Atlanta. I'm not playing Washington's quarterback. Not telling you to do that in this one. Brian Robinson Jr. has gotten more of the opportunity than Antonio Gibson. In a deep league, I got Brian as a 2 running back. In other leagues, I have him as a 3. And in this matchup against Atlanta, I probably keep him as a 2 because they don't have a defense that I think is stopping anybody. Terry McLaurin is worth a play. Jahan Dotson is worth a flex out for this game. And on the other side for Atlanta, I wouldn't play Desmond Ridder. Bijan, I mean, Desmond, I have him as a 2 in this one. I have him a little bit higher than Sam Howell, but I still have him as a 2. And then I would play Bijan Robinson for sure in this matchup. Tyler Algier, I have him as a flex. He's had good moments, but he's had a week here recently where he was so low that it was disappointing for me to see those numbers for Tyler Algier. So I'm going to go ahead and say for that, I'd probably flex him out as a running back 4, but I like Bijan playing here in your lineup. Drake London, I have him as a low-end running back or wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3. And then looking at the matchup, when, we were just talking about this Jonnu Smith situation, Jonnu, for me, he's being utilized, but you want to believe that Kyle Pitts is the guy. The tight ends are the top 2 receivers for Atlanta this season by yardage. Jonnu has 246. Kyle Pitts has 208. The closest wide receiver is 4 yards behind Pitts. Drake London has 204. Neither one of the tight ends have a touchdown. Now, Smith has been targeted 27 times, 21 of 27 he's caught. 18 of 32 Kyle Pitts has caught, but he's been targeted more. So that's why I'm not a big fan about the Jonnu thing. I don't trust either one of these tight ends to give you the big numbers, and I like Washington's defense more than I like some other defenses out there, so I'd probably stay away from the tight ends this week. Minnesota at Chicago. Let's get into this NFC North matchup here for our next game in our Fantasy Football in Focus NFL Week 6 2023-24 season, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. For those of you in central and upstate New York and you traveling in, head out to the Wildcat in the Home Depot Plaza. And, of course, you can call them for Takeout Delivery at 315-487-2222. So, Minnesota at Chicago. Let's get into this. We'll start with the road team as we always do. So, Minnesota, because they're playing Chicago's defense, Kirk Cousins, I have him as a mid-range quarterback 1, mid to low-range quarterback 1. So, Cam Akers and Alexander Mattison, I'm not overtly sold on any of these guys. I'd flex either one of them out as a running back 3 this week because of who they're playing. Justin Jefferson is doubtful for this game with a hamstring injury. You got to watch that top receiver in the league being down here, which gives more value to KJ Osborne, who's worth a waiver wire or free agency pickup to put out in this one as a wide receiver 3. Jordan Addison, I am as a low-end 2, high-end 3 in this matchup because of who they're playing too. I think TJ Hawkinson's going to get some more opportunities with Justin Jefferson out as well, so I got him as a tight end 1. In Chicago, or for Chicago's team, bunch of their running backs are injured. Dante Foreman might be getting the job for this week. Ankle injury for Khalil Herbert's got him doubtful. Hopefully he'll be okay. Rashawn Johnson, concussion. Hopefully he'll be okay. Travis Homer has a hamstring injury, so hoping for him to be okay as well. They might be throwing the ball around the yard here. DJ Moore, I got him as a wide receiver 2. He went off, but again, it's about weekly consistency. Josh said to me, how about Everett, Burks, Shaheed for Carr and Downs? Interesting. That's an interesting one here. Let me see here. I want to be able to give you my up to the second thoughts on this. I'm looking at Josh Downs right now. I'm looking at some of his numbers for the Colts. Doesn't have a touchdown yet, but he is being utilized more. Anthony Richardson is also injured, so that affects things too. Everett, Burks, Shaheed. I would say try to do it with 2. Try to give him Everett and Shaheed for Carr and Downs. See if that works. I take Burks right out of it. See if you can do two for 2. Let's do that. It seems good because it's all bench players for potential starter and decent backup for a 20-man. Yeah, I mean, Josh, listen, I don't know who your backup was and if you just never drafted a backup at quarterback, but ultimately, if you can go 2 for 2, I would do that. I would do Everett and Shaheed for Carr and Downs without question. For Burks, 2, I'm kind of wavering just because Josh Downs is relying on, is it going to be Gardner Minshew? Is it going to be Anthony Richardson, right? So that's something that you have to look at. If you can do 2 for 2, then I would do it. For Burks, I'm going to have to think a few more minutes on that before I say a yes or no. Seattle at Cincinnati. Let's jump into that game before we take our first step aside here in the Fantasy Football and Focus segment here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Seattle, Geno Smith, he is hurt. Questionable with a knee injury, so Drew Lock might be out there again. So God bless to Geno and to Drew and whatever happens there. Kenneth Walker III, I like him in this matchup, and I would continue to play Kenneth Walker. I got him as a running back. In a deep league, he's a running back 1. And I think in this game, he's a running back 1. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, I like them both in this game. I got him as wide receiver 2s just because of the Geno Smith situation. And Noah Fant and Will Dissly, these guys are hard to pick from because they both get utilized at times. But I think if you want to put Fant out there, low end 1, high end 2 in this matchup. On the other side for Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, worth the play. Jamar Chase, also worth the play as well. I shouldn't have to tell you that, but I'll tell you that. T. Higgins is questionable with a rib injury, So Tyler Boyd might be a good flex out as a wide receiver 3 for you in this one. San Francisco at Cleveland. Let's jump into that one. San Fran at Cleveland. First up here is going to be San Francisco, the road team at the Cleveland Browns. Interesting here as the NFC West is playing the AFC North this week, and both going toward the Midwest East Coast from the West Coast. So San Fran here, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, play them all. Made it easy. There you go. On the other side of it, Jerome Ford, I got him as a running back 3. Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson's questionable with a shoulder injury. Hopefully he'll be okay. I got Coop as a low-end 2, high-end 3, probably a high-end 3 wide receiver. And those are really the guys that I would say for Cleveland to go into the next game. Carolina at Miami. Let's hit this one quick before we take that step aside. So Carolina at Miami. We'll go to Carolina first. I wouldn't play anybody on this team. I wouldn't. You want me to tell you? I'm telling you. So I wouldn't play. I don't rely on anybody on this team. I rely on none of these people. So not feeling good about any of them right now, and definitely not Bryce Young right now. I'm just not. This is not the team that you would hope for if you're a Carolina Panthers fan. I feel bad for the Panthers fans. So, I mean, Chuba, no. Miles, no. I mean, Adam Thielen, he's done some good things. Mingo's been all right at times. So if you want to flex out Thielen, flex out Thielen. Outside of that, I play Miami's defense and special teams. I would play Tua. I would play Devon Achane here. He's doubtful with a knee injury, unfortunately. So I would play Raheem Mostert. I'd play Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle like you want it. And so I would do it like that. And, yeah, that's what I would say. There's a lot on Miami's side of things. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we'll have Indy Jacks as Jacksonville returns from London town right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Thanks for being here with us in Fantasy Football and Focus, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, Carvelanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Head out to GG Cards and Breaks 7 days a week on 639 Delmar Place right off of Teal Ave in Syracuse, New York. Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So definitely make sure you get your way out to GG Cards and Breaks for singles as well as graded cards to submit your cards to be graded. The great thing about Josh Gideon and the owner there is that he'll take the time to go through your cards, let you know which ones he believes could get a good grade, which grades they could get, and which ones he would suggest that you send in. So I appreciate that he takes the time and attention to detail and that the entire staff takes the time and attention to detail when it comes to good and quality guest service. So big time shout out to Anthony and Alex and Joel and the entire team there, led by Josh Gideon at GG Cards and Breaks. So for packs, for graded cards, for singles, as well as for boxes, and the only place that I know that has an entire wall of every Major League Baseball, every NFL, and every NBA team. So whoever you're a fan of in Central and Upstate New York, or if you're traveling into town, you can be a Phillies fan, a Cowboys fan, and a Celtics fan, and find everything you need at GG Cards and Breaks. So make sure you head out there today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. They also have some Disney Lorcana while their allotment lasts, because Disney's Lorcana has been hard to find anywhere and everywhere. So while supplies last for Disney Lorcana, they have some of that. They also have Pokemon as well. So get out to GG Cards and Breaks today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, and either start your hobby or continue the hobby that you love at GG Cards and Breaks, the place for all of us when it comes to the emotion, the excitement, the connection to the sports, the teams, and the players we love, and the opportunity of rolling the dice, opening a pack or a box, never knowing what you're going to get. GG Cards and Breaks, the place to go for that same hobby and creating new memories with that hobby. So make sure you get out there today, 7 days a week, and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. You can go to GG Cards and Breaks for more information. With that being said, we're going to jump into our next game here. That next game is going to be Indy at Jacksonville. So the Indianapolis Colts will play the Jaguars for the second time and final time of the regular season here. Just 6 weeks into the season, they played each other in week 1, and Jacksonville won a comeback game against the rookie debut for Anthony Richardson at quarterback out of Florida. Go Gators for PJ. Have to say that for you. Gardner Minshew is going to be playing in this game as a shoulder injury to the AC joint for Anthony Richardson. Hopefully he'll get better. So Gardner Minshew is returning to Jacksonville with the enemy colors on. We'll see what that looks like. Jonathan Taylor, to me, is worth the play in this game. I have him as a low-end 1, high-end 2. I got a Zach Moss flex out for you there because Zach's been performing. Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs. I got Pittman as a 2, Josh Downs as a wide receiver 3. For Jacksonville, I got Trevor Lawrence as a QB1. I got Travis Etienne Jr. as an RB1. I got Tank as a flex, probably a running back 4. Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk, both as low-end 1s, I would say, because of their catches in PPR world and because of their output. Christian Kirk's been more consistent, but Calvin Ridley definitely is a weapon out there. And Evan Engram, I like him as a tight end 1 because of the fact that he does get targeted, especially, and he's trusted to get those first downs. So I am as a low-end 1, high-end 2, I would probably say, at tight end as of right now. Probably low-end 1. New Orleans at Houston. Let's jump into that matchup here. The Saints at Houston. So at the Texans. And C.J. Stroud's been having himself a heck of a season. The 3rd overall pick in this year's NFL draft, and he has been doing a wonderful job to start things off, giving the Houston Texans life, right? Giving their fan base something to get excited about, something to look forward to. So a big time shout out to CJ Stroud for the work that he's been putting in here over the weeks here. Like I said, the second overall pick of 2023 out of Ohio State. His birthday just happened too. Just turned 27 years old, 10 years younger than me, and born in the same month, October 3rd. Shout out October baby, CJ Stroud. So Stroud had a touchdown this last game, 20 of 35. Not great, 249 yards, but he's been able to do some good things in his rookie season here. He's helped Houston to get some victories, which has been huge, right? So he's been able to get them 2 out of their 5 games, and he has 7 touchdowns to no interceptions through 5 games for a rookie quarterback, which is very atypical, and so that's been big for him. He's had multiple. He's had 2 300-yard games. Every game's been over 242 yards or more. So he had 242, 384, 280, 306, and 249. And he's had 3 games of multiple touchdowns, 1 game of 1 touchdown, which was last week in the loss to Atlanta, 21-19, and only 1 game out of 5 where he did not score a touchdown, and that was at Baltimore in his first game, his debut in the NFL, 25-9, the loss on the road at Baltimore. So CJ Stroud, all that comes down to is, do I think you should play him or not in this game? And the New Orleans Saints, Derek Carr, I have him as a QB, low-end QB1, high-end QB2. Alvin Kamara I have is worth the start here. Kendre Miller is still getting utilized, so I'm going to go ahead and put Kendre Miller as a flex out for you. Chris Olave, I put him as maybe a running back 3, especially in a deep league. Chris Olave is worth the start there. I got him as a lower-end 1. Michael Thomas, I have him as... See, Michael Thomas, to me, he is one that's hard to pinpoint because he should be a top 5 receiver in the league, but is he injured? Does he want to play? He's playing now, right? He had the most yards this past week. He had 65. Kendre Miller out of the backfield had 53. They both had 4 catches. Chris Olave only had 2 catches, but one of them was for a touchdown. Alvin Kamara had 3 catches, and Alvin Kamara had 80 yards on the ground and a touchdown. So Taysom Hill still getting involved. He caught a pass, and he also ran the ball 3 times for 19 yards, 6.3 yards to carry. So, I would say Derek Carr, low-end QB1, high-end 2. Alvin Kamara worth the play. Kendre Miller worth the flex out. Olave worth the play. Michael Thomas worth the play. I'm going to put Olave and Michael Thomas as low-end 1s. I'll put them on the same line this week. On Houston's side of it, Dameon Pierce, I mean, it's not been great, right? It's not been phenomenal for Dameon Pierce. He was the one guy I would tell you to play on Houston last year, and let's look at him this year. Dameon Pierce, he has 247 yards, 84 carries, 2.9 yards a carry, 1 touchdown in 5 weeks. So that's not great, right? And we know New Orleans defense and special teams can create takeaways. I would maybe look at playing their defense and special teams this week. CJ Stroud, I still have him as a quarterback 2 in this. Low-end 1, high-end 2. I wouldn't play the running backs. If you want to play... Tank Dell is questionable with a concussion. God willing, he'll be okay. Nico Collins, you might want to flex him out as a wide receiver 3. Dalton Schultz, I have him as a low-end 1, high-end 2 for tight end for you in this matchup. The next game that we have up here is New England at the Raiders. So let's get into this one. I always got to shout out the Boom, man. Boom is good stuff. So... his talent is great. New England, I wouldn't going to make this easy on you. There's nobody I would play. If you want to play Hunter Henry as a tight end and you can play two tight ends, have at it. Outside of that, no. Jimmy Garoppolo has been doing some good things. He's going up against his old team. His old team's had the 2 worst losses in the history of Bill Belichick being their head coach. So this might be a game for Jimmy G to show out because he's playing his old team and he's not the quarterback of the future. And obviously their quarterback of the future is not working out. So, Jimmy Garoppolo, as of right now, it's not. So I think Jimmy G is a low-end 1 because of the matchup he's playing. I got him as a mid-range quarterback 1 or low-end quarterback 1. If you could play 2 quarterbacks, definitely throw him out there. I like Josh Jacobs in this game. I like Devontae Adams in this game. Michael Mayer's looking like he's taking over, the rookie out of Notre Dame. So, you could maybe look at putting him out because he's playing New England. So I got him as a mid to low range tight end 1, pardon me. And then Jacoby Myers, he's also playing his old team. So look at Jimmy trying to connect with Jacoby Myers, 2 former Patriots playing against the Patriots at home in Vegas. I got Myers as a low end 2, high end 3 wide receiver in this matchup. And not much to say about New England. Arizona at the Rams. Let's go to Arizona here, and then we'll go to the Rams in this matchup as the game is going to be on the West Coast in Los Angeles. So the Rams still going, or pardon me, the Cardinals still going with, Kyler Murray can come back. It says expected return is week 6. So Kyler Murray, the latest on him as of right now, let's see where Kyler Murray's at. So looking at this, I don't know if he necessarily has a future in Arizona. So I don't know if Kyler Murray is the guy of, I don't think he is the guy of their future right now. So, as of right now, well, he's out those 4 games. We knew that. There's nothing stating if he's good to go for this week. So, coming off an ACL injury, God bless him on that. Hope he's going to be okay and stay okay. In this matchup, I'm going to go ahead and say Amari DeMercado because of the injuries that have happened to almost everybody on Arizona again, unfortunately. I would say that DeMercado, you could flex him out in this as a running back 3. Hollywood Brown, I'd put him as a running back, a wide receiver 2, pardon me. Michael Wilson has definitely come up at points, but inconsistent. And Trey McBride, not the guy that you thought he was going to be. Feels so good at Ertz. I don't know if I would. Zach Ertz, I'd probably put him as a low-end tight end 1 in this matchup. On the other side of it, Matty Stafford, he's playing Arizona. And I think the Rams are flying under the radar. The good thing about the Rams is a couple of years ago, right, they made it to the Super Bowl, and then they weren't flying under the radar last year, and they didn't play that well, and Cooper Kupp was hurt. And now they're playing better, but now they're back under the radar, which is a good thing, in my opinion. Matt Stafford in this matchup, I am as a mid-range quarterback 1. Kyron Williams, I have him as a running back 2 in a deep league, if not a 3. And then Cooper Kupp, definitely worth the play. Puka Nacua, I got him going out there too, as he's obviously done some good things. I think Matty Stafford, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, I think this is a good week to put those guys out there. Definitely the running back and wide receiver situations. And I do like Matt Stafford. I don't think Matt Stafford is getting the credit that he deserves. I think, everybody was high on him when he left Detroit and went over to L.A. And then I think the world kind of got... in one season, it shifted, and they're like, who's Matt Stafford? And I don't think that's fair. He's got a 61.1% completion percentage, 1,451 yards through 5 weeks. He's got 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He's not great, right? He's not great. Kyron Williams got 5 touchdowns. So happy I kept all of his rookie cards. So I'm going to go ahead and, say Matty Stafford. That's why I got him as a mid-range. He's playing Arizona, but I'm going to say mid-range, probably to a low-range QB1. If it was me, I wouldn't put him out there if I had multiple quarterbacks, depending on who you have on your roster. But I like Kyron, I like Cooper Kupp, I like Puka Nacua, and I just like saying the name a lot. I'm going to Puka Nacua as often as possible. I'm just going to keep saying it. So the Philadelphia at the New York Jets, the New York Football Jets. Philadelphia. Let's go into this one. This is the Battle of Forest Green. Who wears it better? And so Philadelphia at the New York Jets. How about that? The Jets will have this game at home. I like Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift in this game. Kenneth Gainwell, It goes up and down, so I'm going to say no. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, yes on all of those. On the other side of it, yes on Breece Hall, and yes on Garrett Wilson. And, I don't really feel great about anybody else besides Garrett Wilson at wide receiver. And then C.J. Uzomah and Tyler Conklin, they're both utilized. But Conklin might be a sneaky play for you in that Philadelphia New York Jets game in MetLife for the Jets. And I would say Conklin, I'd probably say tight end 2 still in that one. I was tossing it back and forth between 1 and 2. I'll say 2. Detroit at Tampa Bay. Detroit is having that season, right? I feel like Detroit arguably should be undefeated right now, but they have one blemish on their schedule so far. They are 4-1 in this matchup at Tampa Bay. Jared Goff, what do they say? Turn your head and Goff. So I'm just coming up with stuff in the moment, folks. It's just happening. So Jared Goff this season, taking a look at his numbers, I might change my name to that. 1,265 yards on fantasy, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 69.8% completion percentage. Some good stuff there. Josh Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Khalif Raymond have all caught a touchdown pass from Jared Goff. I like Jared Goff in this game. I got him as a mid-range to low-range QB1. I got David Montgomery as a definite play as a running back 1 in the matchup. I'd probably say low-end 1, but I still got him as a 1. Amon-Ra St. Brown, questionable with an abdomen injury. If he's okay to go, put him out there. Jameson Williams, not seeing a lot from him. Josh Reynolds, I like him as a sneaky flex play for you as a wide receiver 3 or 4 this week. Jameson Williams, you might want to sneak him out as a wide receiver 3 or 4. Just not as sold on Jameson Williams right now. Rachaad White, I want to look at the numbers here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucks, Rachaad White, 206 yards, 63 carries, 3.3 yards a carry, 1 touchdown through 5 weeks. Sean Tucker from Syracuse has 4 games played, 15 carries so far. Not bad. His yards per carry is not good, though. It's 1.5 yards per carry. I would say Mike Evans is questionable with a hamstring injury. And I always tell you about this, folks, but hamstring injuries, especially to wide receivers and running backs, not good for them, first and foremost, and not good for your fantasy team. So I would go with Chris Godwin. I would monitor the Mike Evans situation, and I don't really feel good about anything else in Tampa Bay. Rachaad White, if you want to put him out as a 2 or a 3 running back, I just don't feel great about a lot of things in Tampa, except for if your name is Chris Godwin or maybe Mike Evans, if Mike Evans is able to go in this matchup. The next game that we have up is Sunday Night Football, which means we're going to take our final step aside. We'll be back on Wake Up Call right after this to wrap up Fantasy Football in Focus. If you have a question, send it over. If you're watching it on playback, just make sure you reply to this specific video so I can see your question. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you in our Fantasy Football in Focus segment that we do weekly to bring you fantasy football content all around the world. We've had people with us from Texas to Florida, of course, New York, New Jersey, Hawaii, California, Minnesota, and so on and so forth. I thank you for tuning in, whether you're watching live or watching on playback. We're going to do Sunday and Monday Night Football to wrap up NFL Week 6 of the 2023-24 season, all brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub. Perfect place to watch the games and enjoy some awesome pizza, wings, and so much more. Head out to the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. They are open 7 days a week, and they're right there in the Home Depot Plaza. If you'd rather watch the game at home, you can order takeout or delivery, 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. That's 315-487-2222. So, with that being said, let's jump into this Sunday night matchup between two New York teams from what they say by definition, but in reality, not neither. They say that these are two New York teams. However, one of them plays in New Jersey. So the New Jersey Giants and the Buffalo Bills. So the Giants coming into town And so we have Daniel Jones questionable with a neck injury. Saquon Barkley is questionable with an ankle injury. Hopefully they both get better. I don't feel good about anybody in this game, especially because they're playing the Buffalo Bills. I like the Bills' defense and special teams. Josh Allen, James Cook. I like Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis in this matchup as well. They're the top 2 tight ends for the Bills are both injured. We might see Quentin Morris in this one as Zach Davidson is also on injured reserve. So Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, James Cook, Josh Allen, and the defense and special teams of the Bills. I don't have anybody for the Giants that I would put out there. The Cowboys at the Chargers. The Dallas Cowboys up again. Dallas Cowboys always getting prime time, and they had prime time Deion Sanders playing for them back in the day. Well, they keep getting prime time, but they're not really showing up consistently here. The Cowboys are 3-2, but against one of the best teams in the nation, the San Francisco 49ers, and maybe the best team in the nation, they were not great by any stretch. So let's take a look at the Dallas Cowboys for Monday Night Football, how Dak Prescott has performed up to this point. So Dak Prescott, I want to take a look at his game log numbers that he has so far this season. Dak Snack Attack. We got him as 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions so far. First game of the season, they won 40-0. He did not throw a touchdown pass. No interceptions. Next game, win over the Jets, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Then 1 touchdown, 1 interception against the Arizona Cardinals in a loss. Against New England, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And last week, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions thrown to San Francisco. He was only 14 of 24 in this game for 153 yards. Kind of like his first game of the season, 13 of 24 against the Giants for 143 yards. And in between, sandwiched in the middle, he went 31 of 38 for 255 against the Jets, 25 of 40 for 249 against the Cardinals, and 28 of 34 for 261 against the Patriots. So he had a big game against a bad team in the Patriots. He had a pretty good game against a not great team against Arizona, and they lost. And had a good game against, his best game is 31 of 38, 255, 81.6% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Jets. That's his best game because he's playing against one of the best defenses in the country, and he played that way. So that, to me, was a good game for him. These other games don't look great at all. Against a good team in San Fran, awful. Against a Giants team that's not that good, not great. Against Arizona, okay. Against New England, yeah. He should have more than 1 touchdown pass, I would imagine. But, against the Patriots are awful. So, Tony Pollard, I would look to... I would put Tony Pollard out there as a running back 2. CeeDee Lamb as a wide receiver 2. That's really it. Justin Herbert, he is hurt. He's got a finger injury. Thank goodness you don't need your fingers to play quarterback. So he has a finger injury. God willing, he'll be okay. And that was being facetious, a.k.a. that's, people should understand sarcasm. If they don't, well, then you have to look up the definition of it. So Easton Stick, who they brought in within the last couple of years, maybe he could play in this one. Austin Eckler is questionable in the game too. Kind of a perfect scenario for the Cowboys, right? Herbert's not 100%, Eckler's not 100%. So, could be the right time to play him. I like Keenan Allen in the game. I like Palmer as a wide receiver 3, maybe Quentin Johnston as a wide receiver 3. But it all depends on if Justin Herbert plays and what Austin Eckler is going to be doing as well. That looks at this, I look at that too. I think if these guys are injured, then the Cowboys got a shot to win. I think if the Chargers are at full go, it could be a higher scoring game. So not a ton of fantasy value. You got to monitor and see if Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler are going to play. So with that being said, that is my advice to you. Fantasy football in focus, NFL Week 6, 2023-24 season, bye week for the Packers and the Steelers, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, you can find fantasy football as well as Wake Up Call in general every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're hanging out with you on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, you can hop into the archives, check us out and all the new stuff I added on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Thanks to our incredible partners, Carvel DeWitt, where you can go and get my Sunday. Wednesday is Sunday. What I mean by that is Wednesday is buy one, get one on your Sunday. So go to Carvel DeWitt, exclusively the home for the DT Dolphin, my Lemoyne Dolphin-centric dessert. Mint chocolate chip green for the Dolphins, topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, green and gold sprinkles, a cherry, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Go and get that today, and it's BOGO, so bring somebody with you and buy one, get one DT Dolphins today, who, dolphins never swim alone. So that's why you should get at least 2 Sundays today at Carvel DeWitt. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, my place, my go-to for my sports cards that I love so very much. Chick-fil-A Cicero is closed for refurbishment, and so make sure you head out to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974, Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Head out to them both when they're both open, and now with them both under the ownership of Jim Sikowski, make sure that you shift over to Chick-fil-A Clay. We appreciate you going out there. 317 at Montgomery Street, the name of the restaurant is the name of the location, and vice versa. You can go out there today and get the Taste of Mexico burger. They're keeping it from September into October, and it is fantastic. Homemade tortilla chips, pico de gallo, and queso on top of that smash burger that you already love from 317 at Montgomery Street. It is the perfect thing to bring in to work or to grab and have and sit and relax for a little while when you got your lunch break today. PB&J's Lunchbox, speaking of lunch break, Canine Camp, dog daycare, canine campground, dog boarding, Pizza Man, Mother's Cupboard, where I have my Cuse McMother, my spin on the breakfast sandwich, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast, cut it up and have it with syrup, pick it up and eat it like a sandwich, 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Avicoli's, big time shout out to them. And of course, we are the exclusive in Great Lakes Honda City, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Dolphins. AD and DT comes to you every first and third Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, every second and fourth Wednesday, you will find the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories with student-athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni, just like we did today with the head coach of the men's and women's cross-country and track and field teams, that being Mr. Robin Wheelis. And I always appreciate Robin joining the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You could get all of our content with the Dolphins by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. You can also find them on wakeupcalldt.com. And for more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. As always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month with student-athletes, coaches, and administration joining me throughout the year in our exclusive partnership with the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, men's and women's soccer team, men's and women's basketball, baseball, and their esports program as well. The Bobcat Buzz bringing you men's soccer exclusives, and we have men's basketball exclusives coming to you from Media Day this Friday. I'll be talking with head coach Clay Gagan-Sherman. That will go up for you at 9 a.m. Eastern Time this Friday, October 13th, Friday the 13th. My grandpa's lucky day. Shout out Pop Cavino. At 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I'll have my first ever sit down on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with Vincent Frenza of the men's basketball team at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, you'll see my conversation with Anthony Reyes for the first time ever on Wake Up Call of Bryan and Stratton College men's basketball here in Syracuse. And we'll round out at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time with my special featuring of the Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse men's basketball team, Keyshawn Lewis. So a lot of great specials coming up in a Bobcat takeover this Friday the 13th. And you can find more from the Bobcats by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as by going to wakeupcalldt.com. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I appreciate y'all being here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I appreciate the Saxons so very much for being a part of the show and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. The Presidential Perspective and Saxon Spotlights come to you on Mondays during Saxon time, and so you'll find the Presidential Perspective, and we're going to be expanding out here and creating more Saxon Spotlight. We've already under-promised and over-delivered, doing at least 3, if not 4 times as many video specials than we had set out to do and promised to do in these first few months of working together. So plenty of Saxon Spotlights with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni, as well as time in the Presidential Perspective with Mark Zupan, the president of Alfred University. I was just out there for homecoming weekend and a great comeback victory for the football team. Awesome work being done by so many sports out there. Shout out to Elian van der Marve of Johannesburg, South Africa, who joined me for the first ever equestrian interview in 19 plus years of me being a broadcaster. So happy to get to speak with her about dressage and Western equestrian, and appreciate her so very much for being a part of the broadcast, finishing as one of the top in the nation in recent history here. And so big time respect to Elian and to all the sports we've been able to talk with, having a conversation about men's and women's rugby, which I am really excited about what's to come for that at Alfred University, and so much more. Catch all of our content with the Saxons by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and clicking subscribe. Tomorrow we're going to have a huge special coming up for you with a very unique first hour and second hour back-to-back. We have the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, Mike Oresco, speaking on the departure of SMU and the potential addition of Army. And then in the second hour at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we have the head coach of the SMU Mustangs, Rhett Lashley, speaking on the departure from the American and going into the ACC. You're not going to want to miss a minute of that, and it truly displays to you in one broadcast, a wake-up call, what's going on with college realignment in the world we live in athletics right now, as I have the commissioner of the American, who's gone through multiple iterations of realignment, and SMU, who's going to be playing their last season all throughout for all their sports in the American before moving on to the ACC. So we're going to get conversation on both sides of this move, as well as so much more from the commissioner of the American and from the head coach of the SMU Mustangs football team. Don't miss a moment of it. Coming up tomorrow, Mike Oresco at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Rhett Lashley at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and Papa Joe will rejoin me next week. I hope you all have a fantastic day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Thanks to Robin Wheelis. Thank you to you. And take care. Be well. And happy